That fucked me up, man. Like I understood the risk of going to Afghanistan. So when that happened, like on a normal day, for
Yeah.
me it was crazy. I was at the table
Oh, were
where
you?
it happened. I was
Yeah.
working there, and I went to the AHA. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I got to grab this for whatever, and I got like 10 steps away, and it went off.
What MOS did you get in what language?
Charlie, Russian. I think I was actually in one of your last classes. I was in 308.
Were you?
So
Yeah, because
yeah, the
I
Q.
was about to say because I was an instructor from 2015 all the way up to 2018. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you were the NCOIC of the Charlie course at the time
Dude,
when
I
I
don't
went
remember
through.
you, man. So you should have been. You were probably a good student. Now, were
But
you
yeah,
pre or post HME incident?
I was in it. So
Oh shit, was that you?
yeah, yeah. Alex
Okay.
was one of my good friends. He was in the
Oh shit.
160s. He was third bat, but
Okay.
um, yeah, and actually uh, I like took a compassion after that. Went to Alex's funeral up in our in Armington, or wow, Arlington,
Yeah.
and you were the one that like guided me to go get like talk to people and stuff like that. Because like
Yeah.
that fucked me up, man.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Green Beret Chronicles shop. All right, guys, on there I have the Do Work shirt that you guys see me wearing on all my videos. And then I also have the Running and Gunning shirt, right? Two separate colors, white and black. So support me and the channel, guys, by going over to the Green Beret Chronicles shop and check out the new merchandise that I put together for you guys, all right? Let's get back to the episode.
It's like
Yeah.
I had been to Afghanistan, I had been to Iraq, and like um, obviously I was in an aviation capacity, and I want like my goal with joining special forces was to go to Afghanistan and help the dudes on the ground. But that's like a mindset shift. Like I understood the risk of going to Afghanistan. So when that happened, like on a normal day, I woke up, worked out, went to the range, and then that happened. I was like really thrown
Dude,
off by it.
that is wild, man. Because of course, I remember that fucking day. And we'll talk about it a little bit because so folks know exactly what we're talking about. So in 2018, we had that HME accident out at Range 69. For the audience, if you guys aren't familiar, big fucking deal. It was on Fox News, and that shit was fucking everywhere, right? And I remember that day vividly, man, because I literally had just taken over that week as the NCOIC, right?
Oh wow.
One of the cadre was out there, and he was the NCOIC before I was. I won't say his name on here without his permission, but he used to be the FTX cadre. He took over the NCOIC gig because he was getting ready to go back to 10th Group. So I ripped in, going from ops sergeant to NCOIC, and I was in the seat for a week, and I was trying to get everything ironed out, and I finally did. And I remember I was coming from a meeting, and my phone kept blowing up from one of the cadres, and I didn't pick it up because I had a bunch of stuff going on. And then I put a text message out on the group thread for one of the guys that owed me some documents. And one of the guys texted me. He was like, "Hey, you didn't heard about what happened?" And I was like, "No." Then he called me and told me what took place. And then I immediately went into my fucking battle drill, right? And then, so I called all the leadership uh, from company on down, let them know what took place. They were already tracking because when the guys couldn't get a hold of me, they got a hold of the company ops. And then once they told me what happened, I just went straight to the hospital. That's where I saw um, uh, uh, what's his, some first class Duluth. What's his name? So I saw all of you guys because a lot of you guys were injured.
Yeah.
Mike Hallwood is
Yeah.
still here with me. He actually does work on in my apartment complex. So
Oh
I see
wow,
him
that's awesome.
yeah, I see him on the regular. But I went to the hospital. I saw Mike Hallwood. I saw all of you guys. I saw all of the ATF guys that were there also.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And then I had a chance to go see the deceased soldier and just kind of saw him off. Um, and it was horrible, man, because they literally, and the surgeons told me this themselves. They was like, "Yo, if the incident had taken place and he fell right there on the operating table, there was nothing they could have done for him." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's
Yeah.
how
And
it was.
yeah,
And
I was for
yeah.
me it was crazy. I was at the table
Oh, were
where it
you?
happened. I was
Yeah,
working there and I went to the AHA. And I
yeah,
was like, oh, I got to grab this for whatever. And I got like 10 steps away and it went off.
yeah,
So then I ran back in. But yeah, it was crazy, man.
yeah. So now, because once that happened, of course, I got the classes together and I sent guys home, and then we got your class together. And I remember speaking to you guys, or a group of you guys, directly, and just telling you guys like, "Hey, if you guys want to take a break, like I understand." And I think a couple of guys did, and then we inserted you guys back into the following class. Um, so now, but at the end of the day, there were still a couple of guys that just couldn't deal with it, and I had to let them go. So now, how did you bounce back from that incident?
Um, I it took a little bit, man. And I went back to class. So initially, like I continued with the class. And my mind just wasn't in it. Like I wasn't retaining information. I didn't feel motivation to study, but I was like, I gotta learn this shit. So I took the recycle and went to the funeral and stuff and kind of just reflected a lot. I talk about like how I've kind of that first trauma I've experienced to Afghanistan, stuff like that, kind of how I've gotten over it in my own way is writing. So I just, during that time just started like journaling and just like journaling my experience, like all the raw shit that went with it, everything I saw. And for me, it really helped. So, and it helped me develop a lot of clarity. It's like, I remember a couple of the guys dropped out of the course and I didn't want to do that. And I was like, talked to my stepdad who was a former Green Beret. We talked about the stuff and I was like, I set out to become a Green Beret. Like this sucks, that it happened. But it is like a very dangerous job that I volunteered for. And as bad as it is that it happened in garrison like this, like, it should happen. So I ended up going back to class and I will say though, like after that experience, because obviously it was an explosion, like messing with explosives again. I was like shaking when I first started. You know what I mean? I was like pretty scared of them. But just repetition, I kind of got over it. So just like forced repetition, really.
Yeah, because that incident I think fucked with everybody, man, to include myself. Because again, like I've never, like, yeah, at war, that's expected, right? But back here, in garrison in a training environment at that, like that should not have happened. So when it did, I think all the cadres, because Bostelman was the NCOIC out there, I think all the cadres, took it very personal. Uh, and they all went to work trying to figure out, hey, like, what could we have done different? And what, was it, like, did we cause this? Like, these are students where they're entrusted to us. Like, it was an entire battle within, themselves, and we just had to rally and just kind of came to grip to it. Like, hey, like, stuff like this happens. Like, and Henry Ramirez says it best. He was like, hey, like, when you mess with explosives, like you can do everything 100% right, and there's still that small chance that something happens. You know what I mean? So till this day, that shit still fucks with me. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
dude,
And
this is weird to me, man, because I had no idea coming into this.
yeah, no, I mean, on like the student side too, like we understood that it was a fluke accident. Like we, a couple times on the weekend, we got together and we like brought out all the things and like studied on how it could possibly happen. And we're like, dude, fluke accident.